Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast, or welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, I will be interviewing Anthony Reena. Anthony has been a personal trainer since 2004, first working with Equinox, then went on his own, opening his own gym, Fire and Iron Fitness, in 2008. He sold 5 Iron Fitness in 2016 so he could focus on his true passion of providing educational resources for fitness professionals to excel in the profession. His mission is to help them find success and make an impact in the world by sharing all he has learned from the best of the best. As the founder and host of both the Strength Coach podcast and Strength Coach TV, he has interviewed hundreds of strength coaches, fitness professionals, physical therapists, and gym owners. And guys, I can tell you, personally, I have learned so much from his podcasts and so much from the guests that he's had on Strength Coach TV and Strength Coach podcast. So I definitely recommend you check that out. Anthony applies what he's learned from helping fitness professionals in his personal coaching and accountability group. He also still trains a few hours a week with clients and is a partner with Michael Boyle in strengthcoach.com and bodybyboyleonline.com. His new book, Be Like the Best, a guide to reaching the top in the fitness profession, is out on October the 18th. And guys, I've already put my order in. You can sign up for notifications about some great pre-launch bonuses at belikethebest.com. Before I forget, because I sometimes do this at the end of the show, I'm going to give you his social media platforms right now. Instagram at Antrena, that's ANTRENNA. He's on Twitter at ContinueFit, one word, and on Facebook, ContinueFit page. Guys, again, Anthony's been a great influence in my career together with Michael Boyle. I couldn't wait to interview him because I've been on his show once or twice, so I couldn't wait to pay back the compliment, but especially at this moment at the pre-launch of his book, which I'm super, super excited about it, and I recommend every single person in the sports industry, no matter what you are, physical therapist, trainer, strength coach, whatever it may be, to get this book. So here's the interview, guys, with Anthony Reena. Hey, Anthony, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast.
Allistair, thank you so much for having me on. As you know, for our relationship for the last couple of years, I totally respect everything you're doing. I love the impact that you're making, and proud to have you as part of my project that we're going to talk about today.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I mean, first of all, I felt incredibly honored that you asked me. I mean, you've interviewed 50 of the top professionals in the arena, so I mean, I feel completely stoked and honored to do that. Also, right back at you. I can't tell you how much I've learned from your podcast, especially with Michael Boyle as well. So a big thank you from me, and I know from thousands and thousands of other trainers, coaches, and physios out there.
Yeah, thanks, Al. I appreciate it. And I know, like me, I know you love doing this stuff. You love to kind of help people achieve success and make an impact, and it's just stuff we love doing every day.
Absolutely. So listen, we're here today to talk about your new book, which I am so super stoked about it. It's been a long time coming. I know how much time and effort you've put into this, but tell us a little bit about your book, Be Like the Best, and how you came up with the idea to write it.
Yeah, this is, like you said before, it's 50 interviews with some of the top fitness professionals on how they achieved success. So, how they define it. What are some of the habits and traits they believe made them successful? How they've evolved. What their goal-setting process is. How they get through the hard times that everybody faces. And, even some of the books that they recommend and people they recommend following. So it's really this whole kind of really whole holistic view of how they achieve success, not just what did you do A, B, and C, but some of the other things. We tried to go a little bit deeper on how they felt they achieved and they got to where they are. And so what's interesting is, I had a gym called Five Iron Fitness, and I for about 10 years, and I sold it in 2016, and really to focus on my mission, which is to help fitness professionals achieve success and
Mm.
make an impact in the world. And so when I started my website, that's my company, continuefit.com, I needed a lead magnet. A lead magnet, for anybody that doesn't know, is just basically, what am I going to give you in exchange for your email address? And I said, well, people know me for interviews, but I didn't just want to do the X's and O's that I do on the Strength Coach podcast, twice a month. I wanted to do something more in line with my brand and with my mission, and that was help fitness professionals become successful. So I called up 5 people: Mike Boyle, Alan Cosgrove, Geraldine Coopersmith, Ron McKeefrey, and Don Saladino, to do interviews on success and how they achieved it. And I thought, afterwards, man, this should be kind of a cool PDF. And then I was like, light bulb, I said, wow,
Hmm.
this would be a great book. And I gotta say, this is kind of a little sidebar lesson. Is Stephen Pressfield wrote the book Do the Work. He also wrote The Legend of
Mm.
Bagger Vance, and he calls it the resistance. Those are the voices in your head. So when I thought of this, I said, I'm not an author. Nobody wants to hear from me. Tim Ferriss kind of already did this kind of a book, but I said, no, you know what? I have my own stamp on this. And there's a copywriter named Ray Edwards who I love what he says. He said, there's somebody out there that can only hear your voice. And that always resonated with me. And it always kind of pushed me to say, yes, you have a voice too. There are people out there that only can hear it from me. And so I pushed on. I called 45 more people and said, hey, I got a book coming out, which I didn't. I just said, hey, maybe I'll just self-publish it, worst case scenario. And everybody kind of agreed. Alistair McCall was one of those people, and so that was really the genesis of what happened. I just kind of said I had to, get those voices out of my head, and basically say, come on, this would be a great book, and people need to hear this.
Man, I think the idea is fantastic. I know we spoke probably over a year ago about it, and I said, "Dude, you got to do this," and here it is. But going back to what you said there, you interviewed 5 people. I mean, those 5 names are just probably the 5 best names in the strength and conditioning industry or in the sports performance industry. But you tried something, and then isn't it amazing how it leads to something else, right? They say, look, the best way to start is to start. Just do something. You never know where it's going to lead to, right?
It's so true, Al. And I think you make a great point, because when you don't when you that was one of the things that really, for people that I took out of this book, was these are people that just went with their ideas, right? And you don't know where it's going to end up, but you have to just allow it to happen.
Mm,
And I think it's just one of those things where, you know, you just got to keep pushing. You got to keep taking action, because that
mm.
action does. Because,
There you
look, I
go.
was in the bar business till I was 37 years old. All right. So I've been in the fitness business for 15 years. If you would have told me I would have been writing a book on success in the fitness industry and having a podcast that is approaching 4 million unique downloads
Wow.
coming up in, 12 years in November, I would have said, no way, it's not who I am, so you never know where that road is going to go.
I mean, I know we're going off the subject a little bit about of the book, but this is so interesting. You were in the bar business until you were 37. I mean, you totally evolved and so on. But here's my question to you. What did you learn most about in the bar industry that's helped you further in your career?
I think really it was the relationships.
Mm,
It's understanding people. It's realizing that everybody, you get so many different people. You come across I was in New York City, and you come across so many different people from so many different places all over the world, and you have to learn how to navigate through that, and especially because alcohol is involved, right? The under like learning to really understand people, that was so big when I became a fitness professional, because I was relatable to people. They could understand me, and
Yeah.
I knew how to do that. And I think that's a really big part of what makes people
Mm.
successful is really this idea of relationships, building relationships, and being relatable and really understanding people.
Man, I'm just nodding my head in agreement the more you go on here, because I was hoping you were going to answer this question this way, because relationships is everything, isn't it? Getting out there, doesn't matter what you're doing. In fact, it's some of the advice I give, especially to parents of young kids, is get your kids out there working in anything, be it in the grocery store, in an electrical business, whatever it is. Just get out and learn how to relate to people, because today we're so social, or so digitally connected and not socially connected. So, no, powerful stuff, Anthony. Um, what are some of the things that stood out for you with interviewing the best of the best? These professionals you have in the book. What stood out for
For
you?
For me, number one was they really were focused on that mission or purpose. And I've even mentioned it twice already, right? My mission is to help fitness professionals become successful and make an impact in the world. They all understood their purpose. That was number one.
Mm.
And that you have to have that. It does start there. They have this vision of how they want their life to be, and it's intentional. They understand where they want to go. It's that map. You're not going to take a drive across country without your phone. It used to be a map, but without your phone and your GPS, you're not going to just go, unless that's the plan. This is like, let's just discover America. But they have, that your plan starts with that mission, that purpose, that vision, and that's where now you can set goals, because the goal setting is one thing, but that was a big part of it, that they all had some sort of goal setting process, whether that was just writing them down once a year, whether that was just having one goal, whether it was a really formal process of sitting down at the end of the year or the beginning of the year and really writing those out. But they had a plan, and it started out with that mission and purpose. That was just a couple of things that started all of that. We talked about it already. They all understand the value of relationships. They all network. They all push the boundaries of meeting people. They all go out of their way to meet people, to get to know people, to be present in those relationships. And that was a huge thing, because we talked about how they got through hard times, and just about everybody mentioned they connect, they make, they go back, they bring it back to their family, their friends, their network. And that was an important part, because we all have ups and downs. So, like I talked about it too before, like they take action and they work their butts off. There is no 4-hour work week, right? I mean, it's really the best of the best are, I don't want to say workaholics, but they understand how important work is, and they're focused on that. When they're working, they're working. When they're playing, but they get it because they have a plan.
Mm. I've always said that purpose is an incredible alarm clock, isn't it?
It really is. It really is, because when you have that purpose and that plan, it does make it easier to get up, because you understand your value in the world. You feel better about yourself. And there's another thing that I really started to understand, is that we all in the fitness industry have to know, and I think any industry, is we have to know the importance of what we're doing. Understand the importance of what you're doing, because Al, I didn't really know the impact that I was making, and that's why I got out of the bar business. By the way, I got out of the bar business because I felt like I was drifting. I felt like I wasn't helping anybody. I felt like I was just helping people to get drunk every 5 nights a week or 7 nights a week. I didn't feel like I was doing anything. And as I got older, I thought, man, what am I doing with my life? And so as I got into the fitness business, there was a point where I didn't really feel like I was making too big of an impact as a personal trainer. And then I started to realize, no, I am making an impact because I started to impact people's lives. And once I started to realize that, the momentum started to roll. It's like John F. Kennedy went to the NASA Space Center in the 60s, and he was taking a tour, and he saw a guy, a janitor, and he went up to him and he introduced himself, and he said, "Hey, I'm John Kennedy. What is your role here?" He said, "Sir, I'm helping to put a man on the moon." And if you think about that, it's all mindset, Al. And you
Mm.
talk a lot about this in social media all the time, and in your books. It's all mindset. No matter how small of a role you're playing, you're part of the bigger picture. And just because you think you're working with somebody and you're training somebody and you're helping them become healthy, there's an impact that that person is having on in their lives. They might have lost some weight and now they have their cousin working out and they have their family eating better and they do more things with their family. So once you realize that, it's so much easier, and so you start to really gain this momentum. And you like that idea of, like, it's an incredible alarm clock is so true.
I mean, that's powerful advice. I mean, I want to ask you here because, I mean, you have so much knowledge. You've interviewed so many great people. You've been in the industry yourself for quite a while. Purpose is the big word, but, so often you get people ask, how do I find my purpose? What advice would you give them, Anthony, in finding your purpose?
I think the word intentional is so important here because we have to think about these things. Okay. And that's what I wanted to do in the book after each interview is what I call a be like. The book is called Be Like the Best. And there's a takeaway from each interview. So what I wanted to do was give them a starter. Okay. So I wanted them to say, like, so for example, in the Alistair McCaw interview, we talk about Alistair's morning routine, right? And a lot of your listeners will know your 4x20s. So you have one of the best morning routines. But at the same time, like, so I'll just remind everybody, it's Al takes 20 minutes of reading or research, 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of thoughtfulness, and 20 minutes for breakfast. Now, that might not be the perfect routine for you, but we talk about Al's routine. We're like, be like Alistair. Here's what Allistair does and how it's been successful for him. So now what I want you to do is pick your 4-part or 3-part little, it could be 3x10s, it could be 3x15s,
Mm-hmm.
it could be 4x10s, whatever it is, but you have to be intentional about that. And so for me, that is a big part of it, that you have to be intentional on doing some of these things that are going to help you become successful. So I think, you know, getting back to the original question, it's like what we have to do is we have to think about it. And if you don't think about your mission or purpose, you're never going to come up with one.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Hyatt wrote a great book with Daniel Harkavy called I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but it's living forward. And he asks you, it's going to sound weird, to write your eulogy. Okay. So really what you're doing in your eulogy is like, how do you want people to remember you? Who are the people that you want to impact? Right. Who are, what are the things you want to be known for? What's your legacy? So when you start to think of, and that's why I'm taking a long time to answer this, just because that's what I was trying to do with the book, was give people starters to be intentional, because you do have to think about it. Because Al, so many people say that I don't know what my purpose is. Well, have you really sat down and you thought about it? Have you been intentional about it? Do Alistair's morning routine, and I guarantee you in about 2 weeks, in that time of thoughtfulness, you'll start to understand, like, this stuff will come to you. But if you're not intentional about it, and if you don't think about starting to do it, it's never going to come to you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned there as well, I mean, I've got a pretty detailed morning routine, but, what's important to remember is that it's taken me years and years to build that routine, to be consistent in that routine, to be disciplined in that routine. I think something so important for people out there is that these things take time. You're not just going to nail it straight off the bat, and don't beat yourself up about it that you missed this morning's 20-minute exercise or whatever it may be. Like you said, 3 by 10 minutes, that's achievable. I can't stand when people say, yeah, well, I need my sleep and so on and so forth. And I said, that's fine, you sleep, but I'll get up a little bit earlier and chase my goals and chase my day and obviously find fulfillment. It's I suppose priorities as well. But powerful advice, Anthony. Tell me, what makes this book different from other interview type of books?
Al, I really tried to pick a great selection of people. That's number one. It wasn't just people I said, hey, Allistair's a cool guy, John Berardi's a cool guy, or I've known them for a long time. I wanted a nice cross section of trainers, strength coaches, chiropractors, physical therapists, doctors, whatever it may be. That was what I wanted to start with. And that's how we did it originally with, Don Saladino. He's got one of the best personal training brands in the world. Geraldine Coopersmith has worked with personal trainers at Equinox and Nike and now at Exos. And Mike Boyle, when we talk about sports performance, we think of, the private sector. We think of Mike Boyle. When we think of a lot of us in the industry, what Ron McKeefrey has done for college strength coaches and pro strength coaches, teaching them understanding about being a strength coach. Yeah. And Alan Cosgrove, the business of fitness. So that was number one. I wanted to have a great cross-section of people. Your job is you're not a typical personal trainer anymore. You've evolved into that. We have people like Alan Stein, who was, he was the same way as, working training, and now he's doing something that's still doing a similar thing and working with people on performance. So we have a great cross section. That's what I wanted to start with, not just trainers, but like I said, chiros, strength coaches, personal trainers. That's number one. And the be likes. Al, one thing I think with the be likes that I'm really proud of is when you read some books, there are a lot of takeaways, but they're not things that you kind of, after you read that book, I know this is for me anyway, like I'm listening to Range right now, and it's hard unless you sat down and with the actual book, because I'm listening to it and wrote notes all the time, and really you'd get through like one book every 3 months because it will be like a textbook.
Yeah.
And for me, I wanted to give people a head start with the be likes, and the be like is just an action step or a challenge from a takeaway that I got out of the interview. So when people read the interviews, they're going to get a lot of takeaways and a lot of different things that they're going to get out of it. But I just wanted to give them a little bit of a starter. So after each interview is a be like, and it's just a challenge, and we're even going to have a workbook for that. We're going to do a printable workbook PDF that anybody who orders the book during the pre-launch is going to get. And then we're also, if you wanted to buy the actual workbook, we're going to have that on Amazon as well for people that want to be able to write in something. But anybody that pre-orders, we're going to give them that PDF and they can write in it. So these are things that take time. Like you said, you can't just say, oh, I'm going to follow Al's morning routine. It doesn't work like that. It took years, and you have to do what's good for you. So for me, having the cross section, having the be likes, and these people that I picked are very accessible. And what Tim Ferriss does is amazing, and that's where I was kind of going back and forth. Like, man, Tim Ferriss already did this type of book, but what Tim Ferriss is doing with people that you're probably never going to get in touch with, the Richard Bransons and the Tony Robinsons and the former presidents in his book, and just. They're not I have so many, I'd say 95% of the people, if you email these people, they're going to get back to you within a day, or you can get to them on social media. So that was really important for me as well. And I feel like that's what makes the book different.
No, I mean, this must have taken years and years of research. And this is the thing that I love most, because a lot of the times there's books out there where you might know the author or who they've worked with, or what they've done, but you're someone that's authentic. You're someone that's done the work. I mean, your Strength Coach podcast was what now? Almost 4 million downloads. Did I get that right?
We're going up on 4 million. Yeah, because it's 12 years. November 1st will be 12 years that we've been doing it. So it's been a long time, and it's pretty cool.
So you can pretty much say that this book is 12 years of research, Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be even more because you're always learning,
Mm,
and to kind of be able, and we talked about it before, like what I took from the bar business is that I'm able to read people and pick out authentic people, and I can tell you that's why I picked a lot of these people like that I love, like Gray Cook and Mike Boyle, and Bill Parisi and all these the bigger names, but also David Jack and Patrick Ward and Dana Santos and Brandon Marcello and Geraldine Coopersmith, Will Fleming, Rachel Cosgrove, Kevin Carr. I mean, it's such. These are all authentic people that are extremely accessible and who just I know through those years want to help people become successful and make an impact.
man, well, I can tell you, Auntie, not only do you have purpose, but you have probably the most passion that I've come across with somebody in the industry. So, I just want to say a big thank you. And I don't want to take too much more of your time because I know you're a busy guy and you've got clients to get to. And obviously, with the pre launch of the book as well, is taking a lot of your time. But a big thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Absolutely. Al, thank you so much for having me. I want to remind everybody they can go to belikethebest.com, and you can sign up there to get informed about. We're going to have some really cool pre-launch bonuses for people that buy the book before the book comes out October 18th. So you can sign up there. We're gonna, keep you informed on that. And Al, I really appreciate, like I said earlier, I have a lot of respect for what you're doing, the
Thank you.
consistency and the message that you have out there. So I appreciate you having me on your show.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, Ant.
Thank you.
So there you have it, guys. Anthony Reena. Remember to order his book, Be Like the Best. It's definitely going to be, for me, one of the highlights of this year, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. As always, this podcast is available on iTunes and on YouTube. Join me on social media at Allistair McCaw on Twitter, Be Champion Minded on Instagram, and Allistair McCaw page on Facebook. So remember, you were made for greatness. Now go do the work. Until next time, stay champion minded, my friends.